Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I have my 2 needles threaded, and I have 1, 2, 3. I have about 5 feet of thread threaded on my needles, and since I'm using 2 needles, it's not a big deal because it's like you're working with 2.5 foot pieces of thread, so it's okay. And I am using the gray, this one, size 6 DragonThread, which I like. So we're going to start with put an 11/0 on 1, let that drop, then another 11/0 on each needle, so now you have 3, and then you're going to pick up your 4th 11/0 and cross through it. Hold your threads because this is the beginning of your project, so you want to make sure you have even amounts of thread on both needles. So you have a little right angle weave unit at the bottom in the middle of your thread. So you have a little right angle weave unit. You could have also just picked up all 4 seed beads with 1 needle and then just cross through the last one. You could have done that too. But anyway, this is what you should have. Now from here, you're going to pick up on each needle a 4mm bicone and an 11/0. So after my right angle weave unit, on each needle goes a 4mm bicone and a 11/0. Let those drop, pick up a pearl or whatever 6mm bead you decided to use, and cross through it. So, whoops. So your needle that's on the left-hand side will come out through your right side, and your needle on the right side will go in through your pearl and come out on the left side. And again, just hold on to everything because it's still the beginning of your project, so you want to make sure you have even amounts of thread on each needle and that your piece is in the middle of your long piece of thread. So this is what I have. Now, coming out of your pearl, you pick up an 11/0 on each needle, a 4mm bicone on each needle. So an 11/0 and a 4mm bicone on each needle once you're coming out of your pearl, and then pick up another 11/0 and cross through it. Okay. So this is your first part of your component. And then coming out of your 11/0, you're going to pick up an 11/0 on one needle, an 11/0 on the other, letting them drop, and then you're going to cross through another 11/0. So in between each component, there will be a right angle weave box. And I'll show you as soon as I'm all situated. Okay, so here we go. This is what you should have. You should have your little component followed by a little box, a little right angle weave box of 11/0s. Once you're coming out through this 11/0, on again is going to be on each needle a 4mm bicone and an 11/0. Doing that on my other needle as well, and an 11/0, letting these drop and crossing through a pearl. When you come out of your pearl, you're going to mirror what you just did, and you're going to pick up an 11/0 in each needle, a 4mm bicone on each needle, and you're going to cross through an 11/0. So once you're crossing through this 11/0, after you've made your little component, you're going to once again make your little right angle weave box out of your 11/0s. Just pull my threads. So there's my second component, and I'm coming out of this needle. Coming out of this 11/0, picking up one 11/0 and another one. So 1 and 1 on each needle, and then I'm going to pick up another one and cross through it. So this is our first pass. This is all you're doing. You're making your component, and after your component, you're making a little right angle weave box out of 11/0s. So continue doing this until you get to, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 10 for me. So I think there should be anywhere between 10 to 13 components, and also take into consideration the kind of clasp you're going to use. But for me, I'm going to do 10. I'm going to finish up and then meet you back. Okay, so I already finished my first round, or my first pass, and I did 10 components. And the beginning of our bracelet is a little right angle weave box. Well, here's the beginning over here. And then I ended it also with a right angle weave box, and that's exactly what you want to do. So I'm just going to scooch my 15/0s aside because I'm not going to use those yet. What we're going to be using now is we're still going to be using our 4mm bicones, and that's all we're going to use in this next pass is our 4mm bicones. I'm just kind of cleaning up here. So I have my bicones here. Okay, coming out of my little box here, I'm just going to sew up following my thread path. So what that means is I'm going to sew down these two 11/0s here, and then crossing through this 11/0 here, and then going up through my 4mm bicones and coming out through my 11/0, and then I'm going to add, but first let me go ahead and get there. And then I'm going to add a bicone in this little opening here. So let me get there, and then I will show you. Okay, so I just have to make my way up there. And coming out here, I'm going to sew through this now. I'm trying not to get my thread tangled on anything, which again, this is way easier to do when you're not trying to record a video. So you will have an easier time than I am. Okay, so here we go. So I'm coming out of this 11/0 here now, and now I need to sew up these bicones on the side. I'm just making sure I'm in frame. Bicone here and the 11/0. So make sure you go in through both the bicone and the 11/0. And then I'm going to do that on this side. Go through the bicone, come out of the 11/0, and then I'm just going to add another bicone. So everything loosens up, just pull. Okay, so in goes a bicone, go in through this 11/0 and the bicone after it, and then you're going to, just following your thread paths, you're going to go through that little box here. But first, let me catch up on this side. Coming out of my 11/0 here, picking up a bicone, sewing through my, just sewing straight up to that 11/0 and bicone. And now I'm going to cross through this 11/0 here. And then I'm going to take my other needle and do the same thing. And while I'm here, I'm going to go through this 11/0 here, and then through this 11/0 here. Oop. I'm not holding my needle right, that's why I keep, okay. So going through that one, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and sew up through the bicone and the 11-0 because that's gonna put me in position to add my next bicone. Oh, and I just took off my needle. So I'm gonna go through this. I need to put my needle back on. I'm coming out of that first 11-0 of my box. And then I'm just going to follow the thread path of that box. Okay. Now where was I? Okay. Coming out of this 11-0 here, I'm going to sew up here. And then through this 11-0 here. And then up the bicone and the 11-0. And now I'm in position to add, and see how it looks here? Okay. So I'm coming out of these two 11-0s on each side. And I'm going to just add my 4mm bicone and sew straight up. Straight up that 11-0 and bicone. I'm gonna do that over here too. Picking up a bicone, sewing up through here, which is the 11-0 in my bicone. And then I'm going to once again sew through, cross my threads through this 11-0. Then go up this 11-0, cross through this 11-0, and then go through the bicone and the 11-0 and add my next bicone. So go ahead and do that all the way down. Add all your bicones. That's going to cover up this little open space on the side of your pearl, or 6mm, whatever it is you're using. And then I will meet you back and show you what you have to do next. Okay, so I already added all of my bicones on the side of my pearl. On the side of my pearls, and once you do that, just see, this was the last ones that I added. Then I went through this 11-0, through this bicone, through this 11-0, and I'm coming out of the 11-0. The same thing over here. I added this bicone, went through this 11-0, this bicone, coming out of this 11-0 here. So that's where you're coming out of. Let me get you closer so you can see which 11-0 I mean. Coming out of this 11-0 here in between my two bicones. Not this one here on the outer part, but here in between my two bicones. Okay, can you see that? Coming out of this 11-0. So now I'm in place to do my next, some embellishing. So to do that, we're going to pick up on each needle a 15-0, letting them drop, again, a 15-0, then pick up one more 15-0, and we're going to cross through it. So we picked up one 15-0 on each needle, then we're crossing through another 15-0. So that's going to lay right here. All right, so now we're going to pick up on each needle 4 more 15-0s, and we're going to go in through our pearl again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I have 4 15-0s on each needle, letting them drop. And I'm just going to go into my pearl again. So this needle on this side, gonna go through my pearl. In other words, we're crossing through our pearl again, and that will put our 15-0s on top around our needle, around our pearl, embellishing it, highlighting it. Okay, so on this side I'm crossing through my pearl also. And that's what you should have. And then once both of your threads are coming out of that pearl, just give it a quick pull again to get everything sitting there properly. And then coming out of our coming out of our pearl, it's gonna go 4 more 15-0s on each side. And I gotta get these closer to me because I can't see them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And then, so once I have my 4 on each side, I'm gonna pick up 1 more on any needle and cross through that. So, and that's how it's going to look. And once we're coming out of that 15-0 that we're crossing through, we're going to add 1 15-0 on each needle again. And we're going to cross through this 11-0. Let me put my needle in there. Through this 11-0 here. I'm going to cross through that one. Okay? So cross through this 11-0. With both needles. And my thumb's in the way, but I'm just crossing through this 11-0. And again, once you do that, just tidy everything up by pulling on it like that, okay? And then we're going to sew up the other 11-0s that are there in that little, because now we're in our middle unit in our little right angle weave box, which is our connecting unit. So we're just going to sew up this 11-0. And then out through this 11-0 here. And that's going to get us in place to do that embellishing again. So on this side, same thing. Coming out of this 11-0 here, right there, we're going to sew up this 11-0. And then we're going to go through this 11-0 here. And now both of our needles are coming out of that 11-0. And we're going to do that little embellishing again. Which is, and I'm just going to fix my little 15-0s because I want them to sit right. Okay. So again, pick up a 15-0 on each needle. So 1 15-0 on each needle, letting them drop, and then another 15-0 crossing through it. And then we're going to add 4 15-0s on each needle. So there we go. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 on each needle. And then we're going to cross through our pearl. Or through whatever 6mm you're using. You can also use round trios because they're 6mm. You would just be using the middle hole. You could use gemstones, and I did make one with gemstones. I used a red type of jasper bead, and I'll show it to you in a minute. Well, I'll show it to you when I'm done. So we just embellished the outside of our pearl, and now we're coming out of our pearl, and we're going to add 4 more 15-0s on each needle. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to pick up 1 more 15-0 and cross through that. One more 15-0 and cross through that, So that's what we should have. And then we're going to pick up one more 15-0 on each needle. And then we're going to cross through this 15-0, this 11-0 here. And of course, once both of your needles are coming out of that 11-0, you can tidy everything up. Okay, now I'm going to do that. I pulled, and that's what we have. So do this all the way down your bracelet, embellishing your pearls with your 15-0s, okay? And I will meet you back. Okay, I already added all of my embellishments at the top, here, at the top, surrounding my pearls. And now I'm at the very end, and I'm coming out of this 11-0 here at the very end from that little box. And these are my 2 threads that I need to burn down. So here's where my thread's coming out. And I'm going to add my cut button next. And I'm using this one, and I think it goes well with the color of my pearls. So I'm gonna do 3 11-0s on both needles. And I'm just gonna go in my cut button. And then I'm gonna do 3 more 11-0s. I think I'll also put a little bicone in there. So an 11-0, a bicone, and an 11-0. And, well, I guess I should have just picked up everything with this one needle, but it's okay. And now I'm just gonna go through where I have these 11-0s, and I'm gonna go up my cut button, catching onto that seed bead, and then into my crystal. And everything's really loose right now, and that's okay. And then down my 11-0 and down those 3 after, those 3 11-0s after. Then I'm going to hold on to my cut button, and I'm going to pull my strings. And then from here, I need to get rid of those 2 strings. I'm just going to cross in through this 11-0 here with both needles. And that's going to tighten everything even more. So I have 2 threads in that cut button. And if you want, you can go in there one more time if you want to put 1 more thread. But I'm not going to do that. I'm okay. I'm okay like this. All right, so now we're going to do our final pass. And this is going to be the easiest pass. And we're going to, again, be using our 15-0s. And let me just cut these a little bit shorter because they're driving me crazy. Okay. All right. Now I'm coming out of this little 11-0 here. Now from here, we're not going to do any more crossing. We're just going to go straight down both sides of our bracelet. And I'll show you what I mean. Coming out here, I'm just going to go through this 11-0 after it, and then I'm going to go through my first bicone. And don't go through the 11-0 after the bicone. You just want to go through this 11-0 here, and then the bicone, and only the bicone. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on this side too, just to have it ready. So coming out of this middle seed bead, maybe I should get a little bit closer. This middle seed bead here, and I'm just going to go straight up through this seed bead, this 11-0, and then this bicone, and I'm not going to go in through the 11-0 after the bicone. What I'm going to add here now is 2 15-0s. I'm going to go through this middle bicone, and I'm going to add 2 more 15-ohs, and I'm going to go through this, skipping that 11-oh after the bicone. I'm going to go through this bicone here, and only the bicone. And at this point, we're going to go straight down. We're not going to cross through anything anymore. See how you have your 11-oh here in between our bicones? We're going to ignore that one. And we're just going to go down this 11-oh. That's part of that box. So that's what I mean that we're no longer going to cross anymore. We're just going to go straight down. From that 11-oh, go down this bicone. And only the bicone. Whoops, got caught in my ring. And then we're going to pick up 2 more 15-ohs. And then we're going to go down this bicone. And then from that bicone, pick up 2 more 15-ohs. And go down this bicone. And then from here, you see your middle unit? Your middle unit here, you're not going to go down this 11-oh the way we've been doing, the way we've been crossing through it. Skip it and go down this 11-oh instead, the one that's here. And then from here, you're going to go just straight up the bicone. And I don't want to catch any of my previous threads, so I'm just going to be very careful. And then coming out of that bicone, make sure you do not catch the 11-oh after it. You're going to pick up 2 15-ohs. 2 15-ohs after that bicone. Go through that bicone in the middle. Pick up 2 more 15-ohs. And down the bicone. So keep doing this step all the way down both sides of your bracelet, and you'll see how it's going to soften the look. You see how it looks very pointy with nothing here around these bicones. Well, that really softens it up a bit. So go ahead and do that all the way down, and then we'll add our loop together. Okay, I already added all of my little embellishments to the outside of my bracelet. The 2 little 15-ohs here, 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 here from our last step. So I finished all of that, and once I finished that, I sewed from this last bicone through this 11-oh here, and then now I'm coming out of this 11-oh here. And I do have some other string there that I'm going to have to tie a knot with. And I did run out of thread when I was working on this side. So this is my thread from when I was working on this side. So I just added another piece of thread, and now I'm going to do my loop with just 1 needle. Okay, so I'm coming out of this 11-oh here, and I'm going to add, what am I going to add? I'm going to add a bicone, and then I'm going to add a bunch of 11-ohs because I'm making my loop for my cut button. So I don't really know how many it's going to take, even though I've done a bunch of bracelets like this. Like, I've never counted the 11-ohs that I need for the cut button. I should have written that down somewhere, but I never did. But that's okay. I'm just adding a bunch of them. And we can always just, I don't think I need a couple more. Maybe 3. That looks like too much. I'm actually going to take out 2. And I'm going to go back down this bicone. And I'm just going to see if my button fits. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this with my thumb, and I'm going to put my button, and now it's kind of tight. Okay, I took out those last two. I should have left them on. So I need about 2. So I'm just going to add the 2 that I took out. 1, 2. Gonna go back down. And then I'm coming out of this side of my 11-0, and I'm just going to go through the other side of my 11-0 where you do not see a string. And then I'm going to reinforce all of this, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I already reinforced my loop, and now I'm meeting my threads here, and I'm just going to tie a knot. Let's see, I met my threads here on the other side of the side of my loop, and show them the same side, and I'm just going to tie a knot. 1, 2, and it's probably hard to see because my hands are in the way, but I'm just tying a knot. All right, and I'm just going to burn my thread, and I will burn down my little tails later. I just want to show you what we should have. Okay, so this is what we have, or this is what I have, and you should have something similar. So this is how it looks. Now I want to show you one more thing. Look at this. See? Isn't that pretty too? So you can wear this way or this way. It's just as pretty. I like it. I like it a lot. So this is what you should have. You should have, you know, something similar, and very easy, very beginner friendly project, and it goes by pretty quick. There's 4 passes, but they're pretty simple. So this is what you should have. I hope you enjoy making this very much, and then let's just see it one more time. So I hope you enjoy making this, and thank you very much for watching.